If you're looking into getting a Medicare Advantage plan or you're turning 65 soon and trying to understand what an Advantage plan is, you've probably seen that there's a lot to consider. Provider networks, prescription cost coverage, overall cost, maximum out-of-pockets, prior authorizations, just to name a few. While this can understandably be confusing, this video should help clear up any questions or misunderstandings that you have about Medicare Advantage plans and things that you should consider. As a precursor, let's explain what a Medicare Advantage plan is. Medicare Advantage, also known as Part C of Medicare, is a private health insurance plan offered by private insurance companies that are approved to offer Advantage plans through Medicare. These plans combine the two main parts of Medicare, Part A and Part B, into one single plan. Now, just as a refresher on original Medicare, Part A is hospital coverage, and it covers your inpatient hospital expenses, whereas Part B covers your other medically necessary expenses, such as outpatient care that would not be considered a hospital stay, as well as durable medical equipment like wheelchairs. Advantage plans also usually include Part D of Medicare, which is drug coverage. So Advantage plans take all three parts of Medicare, A, B, and D, and combine them all into what is known as Part C, aka an Advantage plan. And this is an alternative to original Medicare, and these plans typically will offer some additional benefits as well. Now, if it's between Medicare Advantage and original Medicare, we would almost always recommend a Medicare Advantage plan basically any day of the week. Now, I hesitate to say that as a 100% guarantee because the coverage you need really depends on your specific circumstances, but in general, in the fight between Medicare Advantage and original Medicare, Medicare Advantage almost always wins out. But with this understanding of Advantage plans and what they are, let's take a look at some of the factors that you should consider when choosing an Advantage plan. First, and obviously most important, is the coverage and benefits that the plan offers. Aside from Advantage plans covering everything that's included in original Medicare, as well as that Part D drug coverage that we talked about earlier, there are some benefits in Advantage plans that you might not be aware of. Almost all Advantage plans have some form of dental, vision, and hearing coverage. Now, this can include things like a free hearing exam every year, along with a certain allowance every year for hearing aids, or things like a yearly allowance for dental work, or a yearly allowance for prescription glasses. Companies will also offer unique benefits in order to compete with other companies that are offering Advantage plans, such as by offering things like an allowance for over-the-counter items, such as bandages and hand lotion, and even providing free transportation to non-emergency visits to the doctor. Again, these are just some examples of what you could see, and what's included on the plan depends on the specific plan, but these are some examples of the benefits that you could see on an Advantage plan. The second thing to consider when looking into Advantage plans is knowing about the provider networks and how they function within certain types of Advantage plans. A provider network is the network of doctors and healthcare providers that are included on your Advantage plan. And how the network looks depends on the kind of Advantage plan that you have. Let's take a look at the two most popular types of Advantage plans: Preferred Provider Organizations, or PPOs, and Health Maintenance Organizations, or HMOs. Starting first with PPOs, these plans give you a reduced cost sharing if you use a member or preferred provider in that PPO network. However, you don't have to use a preferred provider or member of the PPO network to get your health coverage insured to some degree. Now, going with a member in the PPO network will give you better cost, but your health insurance will still be active and can be used with somebody that's out of the network. It'll just be more expensive. And this fact about networks is the main difference between PPOs and HMOs, because with an HMO, you have to use a doctor or provider in that network in order for your coverage to be effective. Otherwise, your healthcare will not be covered if you go to somebody that's out of network. With this being the case, you might be wondering why anyone would ever opt to have an HMO plan over a PPO plan, considering that the PPO plan offers healthcare coverage even outside of your network. Well, HMOs tend to provide much lower cost-sharing parameters, like lower copays, lower coinsurance, and lower deductibles. They also tend to offer unique benefits, like some of the benefits that we talked about earlier. So if you don't travel a lot, if you have a pretty tight-knit group of doctors and hospitals, and if they're all in the same HMO plan, then an HMO plan might actually be what's right for you. Again, I really hesitate to say that this is 100% for sure because it really depends on your specific needs whether you should get an HMO or a PPO. These are the two most popular types of Advantage plans. Now, there are a few more Advantage plans that I didn't mention, but the reason why is because they have pretty specific use cases and depend on some personal factors. Or they're just bad plans that we wouldn't recommend anyway. The best way to know which one of these plans would better fit your specific needs would be to talk with one of our Medicare advisors, so that instead of you trying to just figure out which plan would be best, we can use our specific tools to help you identify easily what plan would be best for you. It can save you a bunch of time and hassle, and you'll get to talk one-on-one with a professional Medicare advisor from our team. No automated calls, no robots on the other side of the line. And if you live outside of Missouri, we can still help you with your Medicare. Our office is just located here in Southwest Missouri, hence the name of our business. But we have clients all across the country, and we would be more than happy to help you as well, no matter where you are in the US. The third thing you should consider when choosing an Advantage plan is the anticipated cost that you might see with that plan. First things first, you should still know that even on an Advantage plan, you'll still have to pay the Part B premium of Medicare, which in 2023 is $164.90. There are some Advantage plans that offer a give back program that can cover part or all of this Medicare Part B premium, but you should speak with one of our Medicare advisors to know if you would qualify and if that plan would be right for you. But looking at actual Advantage plan cost, there are a couple consistent things that you can expect with most Advantage plans. The first thing is a $0 or close to $0 premium. Now, if you've been looking between Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement plans, and you've seen this $0 premium, you might think that this is a pretty nice perk. And it is. This is a great perk that comes with Advantage plans, but you need to understand that there is a trade-off between the two. If you decide to go with an Advantage plan and you take the $0 premium, you're paying more for your health coverage than you would otherwise on, say, a supplement plan. So with the $0 premium, you might pay more for copays, coinsurance, deductibles, and so on. Whereas with a supplement plan that has a higher premium, you're paying less and fewer copays, less and fewer coinsurance, and so on. Another trade-off that involves the finances of your Advantage plan is that you're confined to a network of providers. Like we talked about earlier, this could involve having cheaper prices in network with more expensive prices out of network, like how PPO plans function. Or it can involve having really great prices in network and having no coverage at all out of network, which is how HMO plans work. This is an important distinction to consider between Advantage plans and supplement plans, because anywhere that Medicare is accepted, supplement plans are as well. But you need to decide that with an Advantage plan, if you're comfortable with being confined to a network or not for your coverage. The next cost to consider is your deductible and your maximum out-of-pocket cost. Now, similar to the premium, most of these plans will have a $0 deductible or close to $0 deductible. This isn't every Advantage plans, but a lot of them will have a $0 or almost $0 deductible. However, with Advantage plans, you will have a max out-of-pocket cost. Now in 2023, that maximum out-of-pocket cost is $8,300, but it is possible that that amount could be lower on some Advantage plans. The amount is determined by the provider, and the cap for it is $8,300, but the provider could choose to offer a maximum out-of-pocket that's lower than the $8,300, and they might do this for the sake of offering a more competitive rate in order to try and get more clients. I recognize that $8,300 is a pretty high max out-of-pocket cost, so it might serve you best to look for an Advantage plan that has a lower maximum out-of-pocket cost so that you can reduce the amount that you could possibly spend in a year on your health expenses. But there is a couple important things to consider when it comes to your maximum out-of-pocket cost and how it functions throughout the year. The important thing to note is that you're not responsible for 100% of your healthcare costs until you reach that maximum out-of-pocket limit. That's not how it functions. As soon as your coverage with the Advantage plan starts, it's effective immediately, and you'll start paying copays and coinsurance on your doctor's visits and visits to the hospital. What happens is that if through paying those copays and the coinsurance, you end up paying up to whatever that maximum out-of-pocket limit is, then the Medicare Advantage plan would start covering your healthcare cost 100%. So the max out-of-pocket cost can overall result in you paying some pretty large expenses with your healthcare coverage if it's a higher maximum out-of-pocket cost. But thankfully, you're not expected to pay all of your expenses up until you've reached that point. It's just a stop loss that is set in place by that company in case you end up paying to that point through the shared cost policies that are in place with your Advantage plan. Now, if you anticipated reaching this maximum out-of-pocket point in your coverage, it might be a good idea to look at some better options that would be available to you, and we'd be happy to help show you what those options might be and what could be better for you than an Advantage plan with one of these higher maximum out-of-pocket costs. But something good to note about Advantage plans having a maximum out-of-pocket cost is that there is a stop loss that's included on your plan when it comes to your healthcare expenses. Because the main difference between Original Medicare and Medicare Advantage is that Original Medicare doesn't have any maximum out-of-pocket cost. So your cost can just continue to go up and up and up and up with Original Medicare with no point of stopping. Whereas with Advantage plans, they offer a stop loss. If you reach that maximum out-of-pocket point, even though it is fairly high, it will stop at a certain point and cover the rest of it. So you won't lose $25,000, $30,000, $35,000 on hospital bills because that Advantage plan has that stop loss that stops you from losing more than whatever that maximum out-of-pocket is, whereas Original Medicare just doesn't have it. This is why we say that if you're going back and forth between Original Medicare and a Medicare Advantage plan, a Medicare Advantage plan is almost always a no-brainer. Again, determining which plan is best for you depends on several individual factors, such as your income, where you live, your bill of health, and more. That's why it's so important to talk with a Medicare Advisor to determine what plan would be best for you based on your individual needs and individual factors. And we would be happy to answer any questions or considerations that you might have. These are some of the most important things to consider when looking between Medicare Advantage plans. Understand the kinds of benefits and coverage that the plans offer. Know how the networks function between HMO and PPO plans, and understand and anticipate some of the potential costs that you could see in your Advantage plan. I hope that you've learned more about Medicare Advantage plans and Medicare in general after watching this video. If you'd like to keep up to date with the ever-changing landscape of Medicare, please subscribe to our channel where you can keep up with all things Medicare.